Hi everyone, Sean Waldman with Secure Cyber Defense, and this is your bi-weekly video cyber update. Well, yeah, this is a different studio. We're coming to you from Valera Studios, just outside Cincinnati, where we just had an event with PNC. So we just took the opportunity to stick around for a little bit, and just so that we didn't have to do two studios today, we just collapsed this into one. So appreciate the Valera Studio team and their time to allow us to finish this production piece before we leave. So let's just dive into the content. So as we normally start out the week when we're looking at vulnerabilities, we started out with a short list, and by the time we get to recording, it's a long list. So let's start out first by going over just some of the vulnerabilities that are out there right now before we actually get into the news. So the first up is WordPress. So WordPress obviously being a website design hosting platform. So anybody that's out there using the WordPress platform, there are some critical updates that are available via your WordPress platform. Mozilla Firefox and Thunderbird have come out with vulnerabilities. So if you're utilizing those platforms, just make sure you're keeping them up to date. Oracle, their April patching, 384 vulnerabilities fixed. And you may go, man, that's a lot of vulnerabilities. Yes, it is. But it's spread across just tons of products. So if you're currently utilizing things like Oracle databases, if you're utilizing JD Edwards on the ERP side, just take a look in our from last week, on our blog, we're putting a list of the actual of these notes so that you can click on the links. So just click on the Oracle link so that you can hop out and see all those different products. The Pulse Connect Secure vulnerability went out this week. Pulse Secure is a VPN, like a remote access type technology that is actively being exploited. If you're currently utilizing the Pulse Secure system, I highly recommend that you go out. There's actually an emergency directive from CISA and Homeland Security giving you some detailed remediation steps and some detection steps as well. So if you're utilizing that system, make sure that you're hopping out and you're getting that vulnerability remediated. I want to pause just real quick though to just explain a little bit further of how you learn that you've got that type of system. We teach a lot in the basics, right? Just being basically secure, the cybersecurity basics, the low-hanging fruit. One of the two most important things you can do, know what hardware and software you have so that when these types of things come out, you can launch a search against your organization to know if you have it. And number two, having a vulnerability scanner. Those are your two most important weapons. You know, think something like Spiceworks is even something that you can download for free and turn on in your network to get that information. But you've got to have the ability, when these types of bulletins come out, you've got to have the ability to detect those threats inside your environment and know if you're vulnerable to them. So Pulse Secure, search your network for that. If you're not using it, if you're a customer of ours, we've already notified you and you know what devices were susceptible to that. But if you don't, just take a look at your network and make sure that, that you're patched for this if you're utilizing that. SonicWall came out with 3 0 days against their email filtering product. So if you're currently using the SonicWall email filtering products, hop out to their website, take a look at the vulnerabilities, and patch them accordingly. And then last, of course, Google Chrome has come out with a new version, and if you're utilizing Chrome, just make sure, you know, with Chrome in the top right-hand corner, it displays that green update button. So typically a lot of Chrome browsers will update themselves, but just make sure that you're on the latest version of Google Chrome. All right, so just a little bit about the cyber news. I always laugh because our producer, which is our director of communications, Michael, always seems to sneak in something controversial, and he knows how much I don't like to talk about these things. But I'm going to talk about this one. So the FBI receives basically a search warrant. If you guys remember the Hafnium and the Microsoft Exchange vulnerabilities and how that was a huge deal and they were being exploited, and it was a big mess. A lot of organizations still just didn't get the message that they were vulnerable and they needed to fix it. So the FBI was able to get essentially a no-knock search warrant to reach into corporate networks and essentially get rid of the vulnerability. And then later on, they sent emails telling you that they had accessed your environment and they have taken care of the threat and moved on. I don't want to get into the political ramifications of this, but I did want to let you know that that type of action did occur. So no matter how you looked at it, there was a threat. The FBI was able to get the search warrant, and they went in and remediated it. They didn't patch the Exchange servers or do any other information or do any other tasks that we're aware of, but that action did occur. So will we see more things like this? I think it's possible. I think because these threats get larger and they impact us more, and the longer that organizations go without patching these vulnerabilities, it could just make things worse. So for whatever reason, though, this time the FBI was able to stand up and actually take care of it. So the next is a new malware campaign that's affecting Slack and Basecamp. These are essentially coming out as email type campaigns saying that they're offering you important information about Basecamp and Slack in order to get access to your environment. So just a very aggressive spam campaign around Slack and Basecamp. Basecamp is like a project management, like a collaboration type thing, like a Monday.com type system. And then of course Slack is a big competitor to TeamViewer. So just be aware of that. And then researchers have discovered some active campaigns against the Monero crypto mining software. So crypto mining is a very unsafe cybersecurity practice. There should be no crypto mining activity being performed on corporate environments. So just to make you aware, this particular variant took advantage of the previously talked about Hafnium Microsoft Exchange vulnerability. So when those vulnerabilities opened up, especially in the Exchange servers, attackers took advantage of that whole landscape. So we've got crypto mining that went on, we've got ransomware campaigns that were activated, so all kinds of bad things happened. So if you've detected or have detected crypto mining on your network, please take that as a security incident and deal with that accordingly. Car insurance provider Geico recently suffered a data breach where driver's license numbers and policy information were gathered over about a 30-day period. The stolen information could and will likely be used to apply for fraudulent unemployment type things. So as we normally know, there's a whole privacy side to cybersecurity. Just always be aware, set up for things like sign up for like Credit Karma and things. Always be checking your credit score, freeze your credit, all those types of things. Just be aware of what's going on in your bank account. Always be checking your account statements. The other day, there was a suspicious charge for a whopping $2 on my credit card. And because I check it on a daily basis, it was a vendor that I did not recognize. And typically when you see lower charges like that on your statement, especially from someone you don't recognize, it's a test. It's a test to see if you'll notice it. And typically if you don't notice it, your credit card number has obviously been compromised and a larger charge will come later. Just ask our CFO. So the term of the week this week, as we start to kind of end the session today, attack vector. I'm just going to read the exact definition. So an attack vector, we talk about it on this show, is a path or means by which an attacker or hacker can gain access to a network. So attack vectors are vulnerabilities. So we start the show with all these vulnerabilities. Those are attack vectors. Attack vectors are spear phishing and phishing campaigns. So if I'm trying to get you to click on something, that's a vector. So there's all kinds of different ways that an attacker will try and compromise your environment, and we call that an attack vector. So there's your definition for the week. And then as far as Sean's soapbox, I've talked about this before, and I just want everyone to understand the seriousness that I know, we are in the midst of a cyber war. And whether you realize that or not, that is the case. So there are no bombs, there are no planes, there are no troops. This is electronic warfare. And the faster that organizations understand this and take this, take the proper precautions and take actions knowing that that's what we're looking at, I think we're going to make more progress faster. So everything that you see, like, we saw some evidence of some damage that was done to an Iranian nuclear facility, and that was done electronically, we believe. These types of things will continue. The ransomware attacks that are hitting the United States are likely and are sourced from nation states, and it will continue to be like that. And it's just, unfortunately, I think it's just going to get worse. And then as far as the SCD news, obviously I mentioned we're here in Valera Studios. We want to thank PNC Bank for giving us the opportunity to have a session today with a cybersecurity insurance expert and myself. Basically for about an hour, just talked about best practices and how organizations can better protect themselves. That's all we have for today. I appreciate your time, and again, thank you to the Valera Studios staff for their hospitality and the use of this fantastic studio facility. If you ever have any live Zoom type meetings or video needs, I highly recommend these folks. Look them up on the internet. They're just outside Cincinnati in a wonderful town called Reading, which I didn't know it was an actual town. I knew it was a road, but hey, there's a town here called Reading. So thanks so much for your time. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time.